Hi everyone. I wanted to hop on this morning and speak about the energy of convincing and just speak to sort of whether it's effective, what's behind it. I'll tell you what sparked this. So I was having a chat with a friend yesterday who I've not spoken to in a long while, and they were sort of they'd clearly been on a journey like so many people I know over the last few years of sort of looking at the world, seeing what they see about it, questioning what's true, and they'd obviously seen things that had bothered them, and they'd been trying to share with people what they had seen about the world, and from what I gathered, it hadn't gone very well. Um, and it's I've been on a similar journey as well. I've been on a kind of journey like that since I was a teenager, to be honest. But I've in recent years I've not really even tried to convince anyone of anything, and I think there's a couple of reasons for that. And that's what I wanted to speak to today. So the first reason for that is that it doesn't matter how much information I've taken in from whatever sources there are out there. I'm not convinced I'm any the wiser for any of that information. Now, what it has done for me is leave me more open minded about what's true. But I have never got to a place where I've learned a piece of information and been able to say, hand on heart, that I know it's true either way. Um, Usually because I haven't witnessed these things, or I there's more information that I'm not privy to, and I think that's the case with pretty much everything I see in the world these days. Is that I'm looking at perceptions of what is good or bad, or what is right or wrong, but I am not privy to the entire picture. I just don't know. And I think, that's part of the problem with convincing. We get caught in this sense of we know, I know the truth. It's like, really? Do you? Are you sure? Um, and when we start doing that, oftentimes when I've seen it and observed it, it is because we are afraid. There is a fear there that unless other people see what we see, that somehow it's a threat to us. And for me, like the more I've come alive to what I've shared in some of the last videos, particularly about the spoon bending and how it's us that bends, like the more I've come alive to the fact that we are powerful creators. We create our own experience. We have our I'm not going to say at disposal. We are like that source energy at our core. We create what's true for us. And the more I have seen that about myself, the less I have needed to, I don't know, find out what's happening, what's going on, what's true. And I come back more and more to, well, what is true for me now in this moment? Um, and I think when you really see that you have this ability to create your own experience, like there's less of a need to convince anyone of anything. And you really start to see, well, I don't know it's what's true anyway, so why would I try and convince people of something I a don't know is true, and b I don't need to be afraid of, because I'm capable of creating my own reality. And that's what I've seen over and over again. Now, I'm not saying that it might not be right sometimes to try and convince people of things, but the energy matters. The energy behind that really matters. I was reflecting on this morning, and I was thinking about when I first learned about NLP, and I became this kind of NLP warrior, where I went around with this perception of how I thought everybody should see themselves and operate, and honestly I was a bit of an idiot, because I was constantly trying to get people to see what I saw and to use things that I had found that were effective for me, and I sort of assumed, well, that would be effective for everyone, surely. And it's like, well, no, actually, it's not. Um, Not everything I know is for everyone else. How arrogant to even think that. Um, but I acted that way until I saw that it was a bit of a dumb thing to do. Um, so that there is that too. And I think the more we are starting to see, like, that so much of our energy of convincing is about fear, fear that something bad will happen unless, or fear about what will happen if we don't convince people of our opinion, or whatever it might be. Like, it's, you'll never get anyone to see anything from that energy. Like, the minute you come from that, you're almost in an attacking stance. um, and an attacking stance places other people into an attacking stance, and no one sees insight when they're in that kind of fight or flight response. It shuts them down, it closes them off. um, it's funny, I was really also reflecting on the research that I did years ago, um, now, when we work with people with chronic fatigue. And it's funny, I looked through the paper the other day, and I was just mulling it over, and I was thinking, do you know what? That it was full of all the things that we thought made a difference, and the insights that we'd shared with people, and and maybe there was some value to that. But I can't, hand on heart, say that the thing that made a difference was something as simple as the fact that me and my colleague Karen hung out with people for 8 weeks and more in some cases, and just knew that these people were okay. We knew it from our own lived experience. We had no doubt that the people we worked with were okay. And in some cases, it was perhaps the first time anybody had ever sat with them in that space. Now, we did share insights with people, um, but often the insights that were valuable to those people that we worked with bore no relationship whatsoever to what we had shared and what we thought was true. Um, and that was always fascinating to me. It was like, oh, the content of what we're sharing is not actually the thing that seems to be making the difference. There's something that people are connecting to that is allowing them to make progress in the way that is right for them. And it's not got anything really to do with what we're sharing content wise. And I think that is very important, because it speaks to what I'm saying, that there's something that allows others to wake up to more of who they are, and more of their own wisdom, and more of their own truth. And if we're interested in that, well, forget your facts. Are they facts anyway? Do you know that for sure? Like, go back to something else. Go back to that part of us that is okay. And if you're not seeing it for you, maybe that's the direction to go. Like, look to more of that. Because the more I have seen of that for myself, particularly over the last 3 years, it's much less about sharing what I see, because I don't really think any of those things are particularly solid, in an objective way. I can't, hand on heart, say that anything is objective that I think I know. But what is objectively true is the feeling behind all of that, is the truth of who we all are behind all of that. And that for me is what makes the biggest difference in the world. Like, coming back to that place, that's more convincing than any fact. That's more convincing than any bit of information you might get from some kind of news source, um, because it's solid. It's in all of us. It's what's there. And I think that's the thing that really makes the difference beyond any convincing fact or argument or piece of information. Anyway, I hope that's helpful, and sending lots of love. Take care. Bye.